Welcome back to Shit They Do Not Tell You What About podcast. My name is Crypto King Steve Green.
My name is Crypto Queen Nikki Limo Green.
And today we are talking about, indeed, the collapse of Terra Lunas, or as I call it, loonies.
As I call it, things that get me dining room furniture.
Facts. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So this is one that, well, if you're a part of Crypto Corner, you guys already know and the entirety of my feelings on this subject because we all went through it live together, which was a fucking hell of a ride.
How long was that live stream?
Which one?
Well, the one that, like, right after it happened or during it happening.
Well, so we did it every night that it was going on. So
how long are your live streams usually? Just so people that don't.
So usually, like, we can go 3 to 4 hours.
Like when he says entirety of how he's feeling, like these are long ass streams.
Well, yeah, but it was like, I mean, it was less a normal Crypto Corner and more like we're in a war room.
Yeah, I'm saying that you truly will get all of the details of like.
No, you can see play by play everything that went on. Yeah, but it was a crazy time, especially because, you know, being in Luna for so long, like I was in Luna for like over a year. So I knew like the ins and outs. I knew, you know, people who are associated with team members and stuff. So it was very, you know, it was very like you felt like you believe in this project, and that's why you put your money
because you know
there.
Why you believe in the project.
You know why you believe in it. And then, you know, we got attacked, which is something that, you know, there's a lot of news organizations that come out, and you know from being on YouTube, if the news is going to talk about something, they don't really know what they're talking about. They just sort of regurgitate something that they heard from some source, and then they like spit it out.
Not a lot of people know a lot about, like, in depth about crypto. Like, it's not there, like, so.
Oh, dude, but
to even get an expert on the subject is hard.
But even like even forget experts, right? It's like somebody who just knows what Luna even is.
Yeah, exactly.
So like when people are talking about like, well, it was clearly a Ponzi scheme the whole time. It's like, dude, you literally don't know anything about it.
There are scam coins
Absolutely,
out there.
There's shit tons of them.
But this was not one.
Well, look, you can maybe argue. It's like, well, I think it was one because it's like that's nice and all, but like there was a lot going on with Luna that, you know, the people who are doing these retrospectives now that Luna, you know, Luna Classic is what it's now referred to, is quote unquote dead or whatever, even though it still has like a fucking $1 billion market cap. But to me, it's very much like not something I'm interested in. Like the old Luna is not something I'm interested in because the tokenomics got fucking put out of whack. But the point is that there's just so much more going on under the hood than what the layman's are mentioning when you watch this stuff or like when you read about this stuff. Like it's just like a Ponzi has collapsed, and it's like, dude, that is not like what's actually going on. So that's what I want to kind of talk about, right? Yeah. So and by the way, you know, when I talk about this, I'm talking about something that has just happened. So like we're still sifting through the rubble, trying to understand like the actuality, and that like we understand the totality, but the actuality of everything that happened and the intent behind it and like the full, you know, story is still being uncovered. But things that we do know now, and even that at the time, which is that like, you know, UST, which is the backbone of Luna, it's what's called an algorithmic stablecoin. So for every $1 of UST that you generate, $1 of Luna gets burned. You know, when the Federal Reserve prints $1, there's nothing backing it anymore. They got rid of gold, but they got rid of the gold standard with Nixon, and now it's just like, hey, it's backed on, you know, American hegemony and our military, and up until recently the petrodollar, and perhaps that's being phased out. But that's so like what's really backing it is belief, right? It's just people going, well, I know that if I earn a lot of this, I'll be able to trade it for a lot of that, right? Or if I earn a little bit of this, I'll be able to trade it for a little bit of that. That's the idea behind it, right? Behind money is belief, because very few fiat currencies are collateralized by anything anymore. So with UST, that was the idea behind it. Is like if you could create, or if you could control the supply by tying it to the price of Luna, you could burn $1 of Luna for every $1 of UST you generate, which kept like this nice balance. Well, what happened was we did so well. We went up 2,000% since I bought it. I was buying it $5, right? So this thing went to fucking $119, like almost $20, $119.85, I think is what the all-time high was. So like this thing went wild, and I'll never forget. There's a lot of emotions that goes on when that's happening, right? Because my entire thing about crypto is I am a fan of the space first and foremost. I love what it does. I love what it says. I love the idea of it. The idea that money can be censorship proof. The idea of Bitcoin is like, when we went through the financial crisis of 2008, my family got impacted by that.
Yeah.
And the way that, Wall Street can get drunk with power, and then all the president has to say is, Wall Street got drunk. LOL. We're going to bail them out anyway. There's no bailout coming for people, though. There's bailouts coming for the big guys.
Exactly.
Which just happened with COVID, too, right? With COVID.
If you watch the movie The Big Short,
absolutely. Yeah. But who got all the money during COVID? And you could ring the bell all you want and say, hey, this inflation's going to be crazy bad on people. But, at the time, people are going, well, I'm getting my little check. And I was trying to argue at the time, well, at least we should give people bigger checks.
Yeah, because if we're going to be a massive inflation anyway.
Give it to the people.
Yeah.
Let the people have I think it was like $23,000 a person or something instead of what it ended up being, which was like $1,200 a person. But yeah, at least the people will reap the benefits before you guys destroy it by overinflating the money supply, which is exactly what we're all dealing with right now.
And if they had given bigger checks, it would have gone back into the economy anyway. People would have.
People aren't just going to hoard it.
Yeah.
They want to buy things. That's why, every time there's economic stimulus, it's always through checks to people because they know that people are going to spend it on goods and items. So yeah, but I've always been a big believer in the crypto space because of those fundamental beliefs. Now, just like stocks and companies and Wall Street, there are bullshit things out there, definitely. And I try to avoid them as much as I possibly can because I have a lot of experience in the space. I've been in the space since 2013. I was buying Bitcoin then. I was buying Ethereum in 2017 when nobody even heard of it yet. And this is like post DAO hack Ethereum, 2016, 2017. And this is post DAO hack Ethereum when everyone was like, I don't want to touch that because that got fucked with, right? And the DAO hack was like Ethereum has a big DAO. It's like a big community fund. And there was an exploit, not in the smart contract code of Ethereum, which has never been successfully hacked before, but in the way that they were able to trick the DAO fund into paying them out. It had nothing to do with smart contracts on Ethereum. Okay, so the tech wasn't hacked. At fault. It was an exploit.
Yeah,
and so that ruined for a time the reputation of Ethereum, which is now everyone talks about as like, it's not the gold standard, it's like the silver standard of crypto, right? Everyone talks about Bitcoin, Ethereum. So yeah, I'm a big believer in the space because of all those things, right? But so I was buying Bitcoin, then I was buying Ethereum. Then I moved all my Ethereum into a coin called OMG at the time, which so my Ethereum exploded. It was crazy. I was buying between $6 and $8. This thing went to like fucking $1,200. I sold probably around $350 to $380 is when I was dumping my Ethereum, right? Pretty sick gains.
Yeah.
But could have had way more if I just held on, right? So you learn as you go. Like I learned from holding my Bitcoin. When I first bought Bitcoin, it was like $1,000 each. It goes all the way down to like $200, right? And it's like even worse. I think it was like 120, right?
Great time to scoop.
Imagine
if you was at 120 and you bought like 10 of them.
Oh, everyone was telling me I was an idiot,
like
though.
1,500 of them. I know.
You remember that?
I remember that.
Because I bought it, and you weren't calling me an idiot.
I wasn't calling you an idiot. I was.
You just wanted to be included in the decision.
I was heckling you and rooting for you to lose because I didn't get included in the purchasing, and I didn't get to be a participant. I didn't get to be like, yay, we're on the same team winning.
That's true.
I just had to be like, find out about it later, and I found out you did it with some dude, and I'm like, I wish we were best friends, but that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally understandable. But that's my point, right? Is like, I was buying it then. And then even when everyone was like, this was stupid, this Ponzi's dead, I held it.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh, I like the idea behind this a lot. I read the Satoshi white paper at the time. I didn't really fucking understand most of it, but I understood what he was getting at with his, like, the opening, which was about like Wall Street and how, you know, how the financial crisis has happened. And that was what inspired his Bitcoin play. Right. So that's, so you have to understand, right? When it comes to crypto, I have a fundamental underlying love. This is my hobby. I love this stuff. Mm-hmm. So
that's an understatement.
Exactly. So I'm telling you, man, I like
obsessed.
So the idea that, you know, this happening is going to make me cry or make me like not want to do crypto anymore is so untrue.
No.
Like, but I just want to make sure that people understand that, like, crypto's not going anywhere because of a setback. It's not going anywhere. There've been setbacks before. Mm-hmm. It's not done, dude. So, and this isn't about me either. This is about so many more things bigger than me. So, you know, so yeah, when I found out about Luna, so this is like, you know, we're coming off of the bear market after I purchased Omise Go, which 4x'd from when I bought it. Mm-hmm. So that was tight, right? I was buying it like between 6 and 7, and it went to $28, right? And I remember I didn't sell it then, which I should have done, because I thought it had so much more of a higher ceiling, right? Because of all the things that I had been reading about. Again, I get obsessed with this stuff, and I like understand a lot of the use cases, and really also too, like, the problem that they're trying to solve. That's what I get super, super obsessed with, because like that's what I'm targeting.
What is the problem they're trying to solve?
At the time, it was using crypto as money, but like frictionlessly.
Right, like a Visa card or like a
Yes, exactly. So like using it as payment. Which is so difficult, actually, because that's why Ethereum is going through what it's going through, where they're trying to merge now this summer, and they're talking about doing Ethereum 2.0. But the idea is that Ethereum can't scale, which is why Cardano exists, which is why AVAX exists, which is why Solana exists, which is why all these other layer ones exist, including Terra Luna, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're all competing together to try to scale transactions to the level that would not necessarily kill Ethereum, because I don't believe that. Some people do believe that, right? So I don't want to speak for them, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that what Ethereum does is unique, and that people are trying to just do what Ethereum does better, kind of like how IBM,
like MS-DOS to like Windows.
That's exactly it. Yes, or even, you know, Apple OS versus Windows. Yeah. So which is the current deal, right? Or Coke and Pepsi. There's just always going to be different flavors for different tastes. Yeah, and there should be.
Competition's great for innovation and all. Yeah.
But crypto as payment has always been the golden goose, something that I've been chasing since I moved my Ethereum into OMG.
That was what attracted you to that project.
Because I believe in that. And when somebody cracks it, it'll be worth it for me to be there, right? So, you know, so now you can fast forward. We're in 2000 and, oh boy, it was 2019 when I remember we were scooping OMG during the bear market. Mm-hmm. And it got all the way low, dude. So I bought it 28, right? It goes all the way down to 30 something cents. And I kept buying it. And I remember people just thinking I'm nuts. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I remember my brother during Christmas time, he's like, I was telling him about how I'm still in OMG. And my family at the time, I've talked about this before, but they're all like not talking to me about crypto. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But Kenny was down.
Yeah.
Kenny's like, yo, sell me. What the fuck's going on? Yeah, my little brother Kenny. Kenny's also a big part of Crypto Corner. I love Kenny. But I love my whole family. But that's the point, right? So then I told Kenny, I'm like, dude, OMG's coming back. They're working on central bank digital currencies, which is like, you know, the idea behind that is like central banks are going to want to issue their own cryptos eventually, right? Mm-hmm. Who's going to be the provider? Right. And so OMG had been working with this bank called SCB10X, which is like this huge Siam commercial bank, is the biggest bank in Thailand. It's huge git. So they had this woman named Vansa, who her family was extremely tied into a lot of those contacts at Siam Commercial Bank. And so I thought that was my edge. Right. And so I was scooping it during the bear with that as my rationale. And not to suck my own dick too hard, but it paid off big, right? We went from 35 cents to $10 in like fucking a week or something. Once we exploded, it was nuts. Probably more than a week, probably a month actually, because in the time you're so zoomed into shit.
Yeah.
But like it was quick, right?
Very quick.
It was fast. I remember telling Nadeem, I remember telling all the JK boys. I just remember a flood
of people congratulating you, and like some of them, just like when Luna crashed, like people were like talking to me like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I don't even know what happened. And then people were, when that went up, people were like, congratulations. I'm like, I don't even know what's happening.
I know.
So
but yeah, so you know, and for me, it's the money's great. The money's great. It's all great, but that's really not what it's about. It's about getting more crypto. My game is getting more crypto with my moves and being part of the movement, right? So yeah, when OMG was going off, it was like the first coin to come back. I mean, a bunch of coins were coming back, right? But it was like the first coin to fucking explode out of the bear market, and that had been the one that I was accumulating the most. And so let's fast forward a little bit. So that was like August of 2019.
Yes.
And then I remember the market kind of retracted after that, right? OMG goes back down.
Yeah.
From the $10. I didn't really capitalize on that gainer yet.
No.
Because I was like, dude, the bull is back. Let's go.
Like, it seemed promising that it would continue going up.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that's the thing. You don't ever know.
No, you don't.
You just don't know.
Well, just like you don't know. Because people are like, yeah, it's always a gamble. But I mean, yeah, but so is the stock market. And by the way, when we're talking about scam coins and stuff, if there was a coin out there that promised it would always decrease in value at an average about 6 to 8% a year, wouldn't you call that a scam coin? And that's the United States dollar.
Hey, nice.
That's what I always think about when people are like, oh, I can't believe you fell for blah blah. I'm like, I
actually realize it's 15%.
But some people like, but then you're putting it all into a savings account that's losing on average 6 to 8% in value every year. That's a scam.
Yeah, look, it's
not
all
backed by anything.
As long as people understand that when you're doing crypto moves, it really is money that you can't, like, you're putting in like money that you're like, yo, I'm just putting this in, and if I never see this money again, it doesn't ruin my life.
Absolutely.
Like, holy shit. Like, the idea of doing anything else is stupid.
Of course.
Right?
And that's why people would rather bank on the guaranteed only losing 6 to 8% a year than the possibility of. And
I can't hate on them at all, especially with real money. With real money, no way, right? And then so like when it comes to,
but I was just trying to say, like, you know, the gamble thing. It's like everything's in the investing world,
in finance,
in any investments is like somewhat of a gamble. All you can do is research a fuck ton and make the best educated, lowest risk decision.
Yes. And
then you, based on how much risk there is, you can allocate less or more of your bankroll to it.
Yes.
Or if it's very high risk, then that is a little bit more of a gamble, and only put in money that you're willing to lose.
Yeah, and for me, look, the crypto space, I've said many times, me and Nikki only ever put like probably $18,000 into crypto.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, right? Is like, hey, okay, if you're so good at this, grow it. Right? Like if you got the moves, you don't need that much. Like you don't need to put the real money in. Like some people are like, I'm gonna sell my house and put all the fucking money in. Yeah. It's like, dude, if you know what you're doing, or like at least if you do your research and you have confidence and faith in what you're purchasing, and you believe that what you're buying is a deal, then you don't need to put in this ridiculous amount. Your move will pay off.
It's the impatience.
I know, and it's greed, and it's a lot of things. It's FOMO.
The get rich quick
of
stuff.
Course.
But then they want to, but then they're like, well, you fell for a get rich quick scheme. They're like, no, you want a you're trying to do a get rich quick thing.
You're gaming it like a get rich,
like,
and
don't do that.
It's so much more work than that, actually.
It's silly.
If people who pay attention to this stuff know how much work it is, but people who don't, they'll just laugh at that. It's fine.
Sell your Mini Cooper though.
I agree.
Yeah.
Look, dude, if you're moving and your plan is that you can't move like all these cats and all this furniture and drive a moving truck and drive a car, because we would need to move 3 cars, and also we didn't know what our garage space situation was going to be. We were going to sell my fucking Mini Cooper.
Absolutely.
But everyone like loves to, it's so funny.
No, it's a fun headline.
I love it.
It's a fun title.
We were already going to sell my fucking car.
Yeah.
It's the best. But
I mean, it's the best time to sell a used car anyway.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, then, we'll get to that. But yeah. So point being is that I get into this OMG. OMG comes back big, leads the bull. I was right about the research, wrong about the timing.
Yeah.
That's going to be a theme. So, so then, it's December. I remember it's like pretty early in December. And I remember this company called Genesis Block Ventures, and they're big. Like they buy a lot of different stuff inside of crypto. They're like a firm and a venture capitalist firm. And they buy a bunch of different projects, and they try to incubate them and work on them, and try to integrate them with other projects and find use cases and sell them. And they bought OMG from Cinca, which was formerly Omise. And I remember just being like, okay, everything that I thought I knew, I have to pivot, right? I have to pivot. It doesn't matter all the wealth of knowledge I knew about OMG and Siam National Bank and all this stuff, throw it away. Like
because it's no longer the same project. It's no longer
relevant.
Yeah.
It's under new management. We don't know anything about this new team. We don't know what they're going to do with it. Are they just going to wash trade it into oblivion? We don't fucking know. And so I immediately am just like, and I remember telling you this. I was like, babe, for the first time ever, I'm like, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with this stuff. And I'll never forget what you told me. You're like, what? You were like, you won't shut up about this stuff. Like, you know what you're doing with this stuff. You just, you were really into this one. Throw it away.
Yeah.
And start
because you have all the tools.
Exactly.
Just take all your tools and put it into a different outlet and into a different project.
And you told me to start doing what you do, and that was beautiful for me. It was like I was a derby horse and I was released.
I don't even remember saying that. I'm a genius.
No, it was great. That was a dark day for me because because of the pivot, right?
Yeah, because it was like you got the rug pulled out from underneath you. And by the way, because at that time I was heavily, I was taking stock investing courses and studying Warren Buffett and value investing. And one of the biggest things that there's 4 main things he researches before deciding to invest in a company and buying stock or anything in a company. And one of the biggest ones is management. He has to trust the management.
Exactly.
They have to have a track record. They have to. He has to see like what they've done before. There has to be some sort of history with the management that you can point your finger at and be like, I trust them to guide the ship.
Yes.
And if you spend all those years understanding and trusting and knowing this particular management, and then it just gets traded out of nowhere to someone else.
Yeah, sold
to someone else, and they didn't even tell any of you guys.
People on the team didn't know.
Yeah,
I knew people on the team who I talk to all the time.
Yeah.
Like when you're really in on something and you're researching it hard, like, and you spend time there, you really do integrate yourself as much as you can. And hopefully you're not just reading about one project, by the way, the one that you bought. Hopefully you're reading about a bunch of stuff, which is what I was doing. But the one that I was mostly excited about, because of payments, because of it attacking that use case, now it was a big question mark. And I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. Let's, and I'm not kidding. At the time, I had downloaded this thing called Terra Station, which I had downloaded like fucking 8 days prior to this even happening. And I was just checking it out because a bunch of my buddies were looking at it. I had heard of it before, and it was just something that I was kind of like floating around, but I had never committed to yet. And it was just part of the many things that I was looking at, right?
Yeah.
So then I get into this coin called Synthetics or SNX.
I remember this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this other coin called AAVE. And I made those moves like pretty much within like 3 days because I was like ready to. It wasn't like I was FOMOing, but I understood the timing of what I believe the 4-year cycle was so important that I had to make sure that I called my shot quickly, because if you're just going to hang back on something that hasn't determined where they're going yet, which is what I was hearing from GBV, right? They had bought OMG and then they're going, we're not sure what we're going to use it for yet. And I was like, this is done, motherfucker. Yeah. I gave those guys a couple days and I was like, no, this is done. There's no direction. There's nothing. They bought this thing and they bought it for the name, and this is going to be a trader coin. That's what I told my brother. I was like, this is a trader coin now. We're fucking done. We dumped all of it for SNX and AAV, right? Now those proceed to do very well. Now, what I liked about SNX, which I still like, but it's just there's a lot of question marks around it right now, whereas back then there was the excitement of the bull market coming back, is the idea of like doing synthetic assets, right? So like you if you're in a third world country, you can't get a TD Ameritrade account.
Yeah.
You can't get on.
You can't participate in the global market, basically.
No, and look at what the global market does look at what the United States economy has done for people who have worked all their lives and they had a 401k, right? They were able to put money away, and because these companies that their 401k invested into, the blue chips and all that stuff, did well over the years, like zoomed out wise, like they went up. Those people have now way more firepower with smaller amounts of money, but people in third world countries can't access any of that, which I've always found to be fucked up.
Yeah.
I've always disliked that disparity and always I always thought there would be so much value in that, especially as you look up, I don't know if you know anything about remittance payments into Mexico and into Canada or whatever, mostly in Mexico, but it's like people who work in the United States who send money home to family have to deal with Western Union and like losing their ass. Like they could lose 30% to fees.
It's ridiculous.
And it's just holding these people hostage because they're not citizens, and then they get held hostage, and then all these big like Western Union get to profit off of it, and they're providing a minimalist service.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere else to go. And so crypto for me paves the way for that. Like, you want to know why I like crypto? Like, again, guys, how many am I sitting here talking about the money I made? Like, I'm talking about the movement.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to this movement that I love. So yeah, I was very invested in that, the idea of that, right? So SNX, they'll take a stock, and then you can. It's really up to the person, right? So like, if you like something, and it's like Amazon or whatever the hell it is, right? Like Tesla. I'm talking about really high performing stocks, but if you like those things and you were working in a third world country, you could invest in them because the stock that you're purchasing mirrors the price action. So you're not owning a stock like in certificate form. You don't own part of the company. You own part of the price action. So that's how you get access to it, which I thought was a very it's already part of our economy anyway. Yeah. Like that exists in the derivatives market. People who just want to buy things that are, going to go up, number go down. But it's like you're betting. It's a big sports almost-ish betting market. And the derivatives market, I don't know if people know this, it's the biggest fucking market in the world, multi-trillion-dollar industry. I
didn't know that, actually.
It's the biggest market. There is no bigger market than the derivatives market, right? So to me, it's a no-brainer. Putting synthetic assets on the blockchain and allowing access to like underprivileged society is hugely beneficial. So I wanted to put my money there, right? And then I was getting the AAVE, which is like, more of a lending thing on Ethereum. It's more about like you can put up a certain amount of collateral without anyone's permission. And so like, I don't know if you know how this works with people, but like there are nice people out there who can't get loans and even when they bring collateral and they go, I have this. Yeah. The bank will still deny them because of whatever bullshit from their past.
Or it doesn't work with the system.
Doesn't work with the system. With the check boxes that they need checked.
Yeah, like if you're an independent contractor, or if you're like, your tax records are off here in this part. Like, there's so much criteria.
So welcome back to the movement. Yeah. I'm like, that sucks. I want to put my money where people could have power. Right. So it's like, that makes sense to me. If you want to bring your collateral somewhere, they shouldn't even have to know who the fuck you are. Right. It should be tethered to your collateral. So you put your collateral somewhere. Right. And then that collateral can be used to borrow against, which is the entire idea behind like many facets of our economy is borrowing. And now you can use that borrowed money for whatever you want. It's up to you. Right. But that's what I like. I like that freedom. It's like, I want to risk this for that. And that's what people are doing when they're buying houses and all kinds of, I'm putting this amount up as collateral and I want to buy this house. Right. That's the idea. But so I believed in those things. So those did really well very quickly because we're back in a bull market. It's not because I'm such a fucking genius or anything like that. I just saw a need. I saw the driver and I saw the purpose behind it. And I was like,
timing.
And the timing. And I was like, I'm going in. Those did very well quickly out the gate. So then I already got my stack strength going, right? And now we're going to take a break.
Yes. Cliffhanger. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what?
I know.
Well, you'll find out after we talk about these things in which you should buy or download.
I like this shit. I'm fucking passionate.
Yeah, you are very passionate.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
There's so many parallels too to stuff that I'm passionate about. So
I know.
I can keep up with
that
stuff.
It's fun,
without even really knowing what you're talking about. Like I can understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
Which I hope that's what people are getting out there too.
Exactly.
Anyway, we will be back in a minute, but listen to us talk about things. Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. We just want to take a break to tell you thanks for listening to our podcast. And if you want to rate it, that would be really awesome for us.
Listen, we're on break. We're not talking to you like podcast hosts right now. We're just talking to you like people.
As a friend.
And we just want to say, please rate the show because it helps out huge amounts.
Like, we're not desperate. We're kind of desperate.
We're giving shout outs right now to all the people who are giving it ratings. So huge shout out right now to Brian Jorgensen. That was sick of you, dude. Thank you. God bless. Huge shout out right now to Mark W. in Springfield, Connecticut.
Back to our podcast.
Jenny Blyke.
Hey, back to our podcast.
In Tuscany,
and
Florida.
Back to our podcast.
God bless you. Thank you.
Steven.
Thank you for supporting the
show. And we're back. Thanks for buying what we told you to buy.
Yes.
Now, Steve, what happened now that you got your stack going back in 2020?
So, yeah, this is probably February-ish. 2020. Wait. Is that 2020?
I know, but pandemic years,
pandemic fucked me
it's
up.
such a blur.
You know what? It might have been 2020 and then this is 2021.
The down day that you had was December 2020.
It was, right? Wait. Yeah, it was. I think you're right. I think it was. Yeah, let's go with that. My bad. Not 19. Okay.
I don't remember either.
Because remember the New Year's? Remember the New Year's when I was like...
Yeah, but was it 2020 or was it 2019? I can't even remember.
I know. Okay, sorry guys.
I think it was 2020 because we were going to buy a house in Vegas and
Yes.
You know, we
yes, it was 2020.
Yeah, that's when we had started looking for houses in Vegas.
Okay, yes. Perfect. Sorry about that. Not 2019, just zoom it forward a year. Okay. But yeah, that's the point. So yeah, now I got some stack strength going, right? And I'm not married to anything. I'm like, just because I love these use cases and these projects, it doesn't mean that there's not something better out there. All of a sudden, there emerges, well, I had already been looking into Luna, like I said, December of now 2020 is when I was getting Terra Station.
Yeah.
And so I was already tinkering around with it, but I couldn't figure out, I didn't understand a lot of the stuff in the white paper yet. So I really needed, for me, I need to understand exactly how something works or I won't buy it. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Somebody's like, I swear to God, it's going up tomorrow. Oh, hey, dude, did you hear about this? It's going up fucking next week. I'm like, I don't care if I don't understand it. Because if it goes down, which happens a lot in crypto.
You want to know why.
I want to be able to justify why it's an opportunity and why I shouldn't just cut bait.
Right.
Why is it still an opportunity?
Because for the ones that you're looking at, you want them to go down so you can scoop them at a better price, at a deal.
I can't wait.
That's exactly what Warren Buffett talks about with stocks is you're researching all these companies, you know why you want to buy them, but you're waiting for the timing and you can't wait for them to go down.
No,
because
you can't wait.
Usually it's for some reason that's not going to put the company in jeopardy.
Yep.
It's just some emotional
it's
reason
some
that the market
has nothing to do with how great of a gem this is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Luna and I'm all the pieces just start coming together. There was, they had at the time this payments processing thing called Chai, which was in South Korea, which was processing payments. If you went into a place, they were actually using the blockchain to process and confirm your transaction. And I didn't really know quite the scale. I just knew there was 2 million users for that. And I was like, damn, that's pretty much what the OMG dream was. It's you can put up your coins into a smart contract. You are validating transactions on this network, providing security to this network, and getting paid for providing the security to this network. And now payments are being processed and you're helping.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn, that's really, really sick, right? And what they were doing was being a stablecoin issuer or issuance provider. So it's like I said earlier, for every $1 of UST, which was the algorithmic stablecoin that was underlying the entire Terra ecosystem. But for every $1 that you generate, $1 of Luna gets burned. So I was like, man, that's really cool because, it's not just an infinite supply. You can print as much as you want. And my biggest issue in crypto, which today is still a big fear, is this coin called Tether, which USDT, which is like, they say for every $1 that they generate, $1 of real world dollars gets placed into a vault in Peru, and they don't allow you to audit it. And they swear to God that that's actually a mechanism that's happening, but they can't prove it. And they've only hired people that they pay to check that out. And they all swear to God that that's true. So you can't actually audit this. Like crypto is about being transparent.
Yeah.
It's about
exactly
public distributed ledger on blockchain. Everyone can see what's going on. That's the idea behind it. Other than privacy coins, there's other outliers, but I'm talking about the general idea. So now you have a public distributed ledger, but they say, and for the most used crypto, which is Tether, we're talking about you can add all the daily volume for Bitcoin and Ethereum together, and you still don't reach Tether because that's how much get used a day. Because traders mostly use Tether to find safety after they make a move. So they're like, I made a move. I'm getting my 3%, 5%, whatever it is.
But you're saying that safety might not be as safe as they think it is because we don't know. There's just no way to prove. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
The underlying part of it is suspect.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of this stuff, when it comes to that, can be suspect. Right? Not just, it's not like, hey, it's just Tether, but I like the mechanism for UST maintaining its peg.
Yeah, because I remember when you were all about Tether, and then you told me about this stuff.
I was all about Tether in what way?
Well, that in an exit route way, like after a
big move. I could cash into Tether.
You could cash into Tether. Yeah.
As long as I did it quickly, I remember.
Yeah.
But exactly. And then there's now USDC, which is like more FDIC insured, issued by Coinbase. But Tether is still the king daddy. It probably won't be for much longer because USDC is really coming up the rear right now because of what just happened with UST. But it's one of those things where I was always suspect about USDT, like how they don't prove it, they just say it.
Yeah.
And so Luna comes out and they're trying to be money on the blockchain, which is that's always been my killer use case. That's the golden goose.
Yeah.
I want to be in on that. So it's like February of 2020. Me and my brother, or 2021.
Yeah.
Me and my brother move from SNX AEVE into Luna. And the next day, dude, this thing went from 5 to 7 in like 3 days. It was like crazy.
I remember this.
It was crazy. And then it went to fucking 12. And then it went to like 18.
Because this is kind of around the time where you got Anthony Lee in.
Yes. Well, no, that was April.
Oh, okay.
That was April. This is when I got Joe in.
Okay, gotcha.
Joe got in with me like right there. Because Joe just was like, YOLO, let's fucking go. Yeah.
Just letting people know. Because not everyone.
But I texted the boys.
Not everyone, believe it or not, there's some audience that don't listen to JK News that don't know who you're talking about. So.
Well, it's weird. I actually just forgot the cameras were here and I was just talking to you for a second.
Oh.
Yeah. So, exactly. Thank you for that.
Yes.
But me and Joe are in. And then me and my brother are in. And then, Luna starts to explode. And, there was a big catalyst to that I remember, which is that Mike Novogratz of Galaxy had bought in, and then that kind of had a ripple effect. And I knew about it before it even happened. That was when Luna was like 70 cents. And I didn't buy it then because I wasn't done doing my research, but I had heard about it beforehand. That Mike Novogratz of Galaxy, which is they're a huge fund, right? They buy a lot of different stuff, but I had heard that they had made a move on Luna, and I didn't even take advantage then because I just wanted to understand it more. So then, Luna goes to, like I said, $5, and that's when me and Kenny and Joe were scooping it, right? So it was like 5 and whatever, 5.50. But then Luna explodes, 5 to 7, then 7 to fucking 12, and then 12 to fucking 15. And the price action is really fun. You love the price action stuff. You can get addicted to it even because it's like, man, my folio's how much now? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the part that I liked about it was the underlying aspect of it.
Of course.
Like why I bought it.
Yeah. It's like, I love when my shares of Apple go up, but really, like, I invested because I use Apple all the time.
Yes.
That's so.
Yes.
I get mad when Apple fucks up with their new products, where they're like,
Yes.
they make some stupid changes to their laptops that suck. I heard the new laptop's really good though. The new MacBook Pros that just came out, like, I heard those you don't need dongles anymore, all that shit.
Finally.
Yeah, but like,
You don't need octopus arms hanging out of your fucking
it's nice when the stock goes up, but it's also like nice when the thing I invested in is actually doing a good job.
You know why?
Yeah.
So that was the thing about Luna for me, right? It's like that was the underlying thing. It's like, I knew as all these protocols got rolled out, like, people like to talk shit about Anchor Protocol right now, right? Like, it's like that was their AAVE, right? That was their borrowing. You put up collateral, you can borrow against your collateral, and you borrow UST against your collateral, okay? Mm. And the big thing about that was, like, if you want to, you can take UST and you can put it into what's called Earn, and you can get 20% off of that. Now, what they were doing was no different than what happens at banks or even credit card companies, where they go, for a limited time, we're going to give you this fixed rate.
Yeah.
And that is something that they are basically eschewing funds in order to fund. That's just how that is. That's just, it's done in the real world. It's done in the blockchain. Whenever I say your financial system is being replicated in the blockchain, this is part of it, right? So, but the idea of Anchor was always to have the amount that they provide in Earn to be in flux based on usage. So, like, the more people use it, the more Earn will come down. And people, anyone who watched, who was part of Crypto Corner knows that, because we talked about that so much. Like, the more people had like a year in Earn to like get like between 18 and 20%, and it was in flux, but we weren't expecting that to last because of the amount of people that were adopting Anchor. It was like getting fucking bananas, right? And so we had this thing happen that May where basically UST had slipped its peg for the first time. So UST is a stablecoin, should always be worth 100 pennies or $1, right? Always. Well, it slipped its peg. It was like 97 cents, 95 cents. I think it went to like 80 something cents even.
Oh.
And so the idea is you're supposed to be able to sell Luna to buy back UST to restore the peg, right? So, like, I'm selling this Luna because it's worth more than UST, and it's being used, like, the pair that I'm selling it for is Luna UST. So then UST is going back up because Luna is being sold for it. Okay. So there was a cataclysmic event that happened though, where we saw the price of Luna tumble. It went from like $30, like all the way down to like $3.50. And a bunch of people at the time were getting liquidated in Anchor because they had borrowed against collateral that they had put up into Anchor. And if you can't cover, what you put up in collateral, if that price goes underneath that, you lose it. You lose your collateral to pay off your loan. It goes instantly to pay off your loan. That's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
So there was a cascading liquidation effect that happened because of the depegging of UST. So in response to that happening, Luna actually recovers big time because they immediately added liquidity, like a bunch of liquidity into the Anchor pool, right? So it was like they put a fuck ton of treasury money in there just to have Anchor be more solvent, because they needed to have people have faith in, like, if they were gonna put their money into Anchor, there's going to be a place to pull it from, right? So
which is great.
Yeah. The more liquidity, the better. And UST was fucking killing it after that. Like, there was never anything there was never any visible depegging that was happening. Like, nothing that was going on where everyone's like, oh, I'm still scared shitless. Like, and Luna, because of all the different applications that were being built for it, it wasn't just Anchor, although Anchor was heavily, when we always talk about total value locked in Crypto Corner, like the amount of money that is locked up into one protocol, like for Anchor, it was like in the billions and billions and billions. It was like getting to be a majority of what was going on. But there's so much more to Luna than Anchor. There was so much being built, lending, borrowing, other stuff, not even just Anchor. There's other stuff going on with it, like the NFT marketplaces. There's so much going on with Luna. So many like AMMs or automated market makers. There's clever uses of crypto with some of the smartest devs I've ever seen involved in the space.
I got Amazon things and CB2 furniture.
It was fun
from Luna.
But the point is that all these different places needed the same thing. They all needed UST. So UST, for every $1 of UST you generate, $1 of Luna gets burned. UST becomes this fucking force, right? It was like putting coal into a coal-fired engine, right? You're just scooping it in, and it's creating steam, and you're getting a lot of momentum. And that's what happened, right? So we're going fucking bananas. We're beating the market. We beat everything. We beat every commodity, everything you can name, every stock, no matter what you can talk about. We beat it all. We went up more than, it was nuts, right? Because UST was constantly burning Luna. So the circulating supply for Luna was shrinking constantly. And that was something we were always watching too on Crypto Corner. So it was just this beautiful symbiosis of like, you did the work, you put in the time, you did the research, and now it's paying off.
Right.
So, we fast forward, it's like December of last year, 2021. And, Luna hits 100 for the first time ever, which was bananas.
We were in a
hotel.
No, we were in that restaurant, Yard House. We were having drinks.
Oh, that was before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was before.
Okay, that was a personal milestone.
That was a personal milestone, but that was very, very awesome.
That was right next to.
That was when I beat my old OMG
We had
stat.
just moved to Vegas, so I thought it was the same time period because it was like right before December.
Yeah. But no, that was a big milestone for sure.
Yeah.
We had a drink because I told you a long time ago that we would do that when that happened. That did happen, which is awesome. And then, December happens and we get to 100 per Luna, and like it was wild. And one of the things I was most excited about that Luna was doing was just rolling out all these other amazing protocols. It wasn't just about to be Anchor. It was like, it doesn't matter. There's one called Mars. There's a bunch of different ones, right?
Yeah.
There's one called Astroport that exists already. There's a bunch of stuff. And there was so much more coming. Like there was Anchor protocol insurance coming from this thing called Ozone. There was just so much going on, right? And it's easy to have the news like this close to your face about something that you believe in and pay attention to that instead of, going, well, man, I really killed this market. I really should pay myself for it.
Right.
Which I wasn't. Really doing, other than filling our house with plants and lamps and furniture and shit. Like I really could have done way more to do that. And especially to do what my ultimate plan was. Cause if anybody's ever been in Crypto Corner, I have this thing called the tripod, which is like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB. That's your most reliable things that you could hold in crypto. Believe it or not, even though I was very much, wearing Luna merch all the time and stuff, for me, I never added Luna to the tripod because it was always something you have to pay way more attention to. Like you have to be very, very on the ball.
It's like the difference of like individual stocks versus an index.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the index is like it's more likely it's going to grow slower, but it's more stable. It's growing at a more stable pace.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was my whole thing with Luna. It's like you have to be there. You have to you can't just walk away for months.
Yeah.
Like you have to be there because you don't know what could happen. Like people would tell me all the time in crypto, like, "Hey Steve, why shouldn't I sell my fucking house and put it in Anchor protocol?" And I'm like, because it could get hacked. Like I'm like, the equivalent of FDIC insurance for Anchor is coming, but it's not out yet. And even when it was out, it came out in test form. Like only like a couple hundred people got it, instead of like it being something that was pervasive for everyone to have access to. So that, it was like, hey, we're getting there, but we're not there. So that's all well and good, right? But the important thing is that my goal in being in crypto, and for as much as it's like, oh, Steve, I was at $1 million and all that stuff, it's not about the fiat. I don't care, because we put in $18,000. Like the idea behind this is to get more crypto because I believe in this space so much, and I wanted to get more of the tripod, right? So it's like you use Luna to beat Bitcoin in the ratios, you can basically turn your position into a mining rig almost. Like you're printing, because you're beating it in the ratios, you're printing more Bitcoin, more Ethereum, more BNB, because you're beating those coins in the ratios, which is what I was doing the whole fucking run. I just wasn't paying myself for it yet. I got too greedy. But fortunately and unfortunately, February comes along and Ukraine happens with Putin, and you remember this night. I came to you and I was like, man, I just sold 2,000 Luna. And
to de-risk. Because whenever big news events happen, this happens with the stock market too, it just creates fear and instability in the market, and so things start getting very volatile. So this is like when
it was just too scary not to, because you just don't know what could happen. Like honestly, they could announce that a nuke had been misfired and it fell in the ocean, and that would be enough to tank markets meltdown wise worldwide. You just don't know what could happen. The variance is too crazy. So I was like, man, and I remember telling you this, and I was so bummed. You remember this? I was like, I had to sell 2,000 Luna.
Because you didn't want to sell.
I don't want to sell my Lunas, because for me, it feels like how it felt with Ethereum, where I was like, I have a lot of Ethereum, and then I dumped it for something else, which did fine, but then I didn't capitalize on it.
Yeah, and Ethereum blew up.
And then, OMG tanked after that. And I was like, man, I really, could, this feels like the next Luna for me, the next Ethereum for me. Positionally too, it's like, man, I have way more Ethereum or Luna now than I had in Ethereum, and it's been killing Ethereum. So I was like, man, this is like killer. And also, I saw it as like, I saw it as like I knew a lot about something, and I was quitting on some of it.
Well, you sold Luna for a different reason than selling Ethereum.
Yes, true.
The de-risking is completely different.
What I learned. It's what I learned from the Ethereum and OMG mistake. Yeah, exactly. And I remember telling Nikki that I was like, I couldn't look at you if all this shit just fucking went down, and it's like, what'd you learn from last time? And I would have to say, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, as melancholy as I was that night, I knew I did the right thing.
Exactly.
And I told my people, I was like, this is February. I have this little area where I tell everyone what my moves are.
And I said you did the right thing too.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. You were very awesome. I needed to hear that, but I needed to hear that from you, because you're one of the people that I respect the most, and I just needed to hear it from you. And then, so then fast forward, right? It's, May Day, yeah. And Luna slips the peg. So now it's almost like May 2.0, because like we're talking about, is this happening again? Do we have deeper liquidity to fucking absorb the shock?
Yeah.
And as we're kind of finding out, it was an attack. You can track it to 20 wallets right now. And basically the idea is that, as I talked about on the show before, UST had grown a lot. Like Luna had grown a fuck ton, obviously, in market cap, but UST had grown so much that now, it was worth $18 billion market cap. So if that just means like if you add up all of the UST that exist, it's worth $18 billion. So $18 million market cap, right? Well, I think that already posited a problem for Luna, especially now in retrospect. But like, we all had heard of not just heard, but we experienced the depegging of a year prior. So it's like, well, they have more liquidity now, so they could absorb the shock with that. But isn't it an issue that UST doesn't really have anything underlying supporting it, right? So like, if there was a bank run on the dollar, could the bank support that? Right? No, I don't think so. And so that's kind of what happened with Luna, right? It's like, well, there's $18 billion. Do Kwon announced to the world.
Do Kwon is
I'm sorry, of Terra Luna. He was the guy behind all of it. He was one of the two founders of it. He announces, we're going to back UST, back the peg with Bitcoin. And I remember being so stoked on this, and so was the market. the market was really stoked on it too. So we were beating the market even more back then. We went from 100 to 120 because of this. But the idea was that like, they're going to buy billions of dollars of Bitcoin. And if anything happened with the peg again, they could sell that Bitcoin into UST. That would be the pair. And that would restore the peg.
Because Bitcoin is like the gold standard. Like
it is. It's like the storage of money. It's it's what, if you believe in crypto, you have to believe in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. And by the way, you could argue how volatile Bitcoin is, blah blah blah. But everyone's saying how we're in a bear market right now, right? And yeah, I think we are too. But and the market is dumped, quote unquote. It's so dumped. Mm-hmm. But Bitcoin's 29,000 tonight. So there you go.
Exactly.
Like it's really proven itself. Or if anything, it's proven itself even more because of the scarcity of Bitcoin, which is the whole idea. There's only 2 million Bitcoins left to be printed or mined, right? So so the last one gets mined 100 years from now. It's pretty fucking good for supply. So that's the idea. So that was what they were trying to do, but the mechanism wasn't integrated yet. So when I talk about UST, right? For every $1 of UST you generate, $1 of Luna gets burned. For every $1 of Luna you generate, for every $1 of Luna that you generate, $1 of UST gets burned, right? So there's that symbiosis,
the balance, the
little balance. But the mechanism for UST being backed by Bitcoin wasn't baked into the cake yet. Mm-hmm. It just existed through they filled a wallet with Bitcoin under with the knowledge that like, hey, we'll sell this for UST if that issue ever happened. And then there was somebody, I think months prior to that, there was somebody who said, hey, this depegging incident could happen in a major way and we could get a black swan event that ends up like destroying the entire thing. And Do Kwon, the founder of Terra, says, try it, and any billionaires who follow me, try it. See what happens. Yeah. And, should have been a warning sign to all of us holding it. Should have been.
That sounds like a Steve Green comeback.
I know, right? I love talking shit.
Yeah. Try it. It's like, don't distract them. Don't try it. Please don't.
Yeah. So guess what? Somebody tried it because
and we think it's an inside job because of the way it went down, right?
Well, 20 wallets.
Yeah.
They tracked 20 wallets pulling liquidity of UST at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. And here's what you could argue. You could look at something on the blockchain because it's all a public distributed ledger. You could look at it and not determine intent. You'll never be able to determine intent from looking at a transaction on the blockchain. Mm-hmm. But the way that it happened, right? So there was a liquidity pool called Curve. They were pulling liquidity from UST, okay, that they were going to use to build this mechanism out. And that left us vulnerable for a certain limited period of time, which is why, some people have postulated that perhaps it was an inside job at Terraform Labs, which is the group, the entity that is behind Terra, but we just don't know. Mm-hmm. So all we can do is track it to blockchain transactions. So, as this was going on, as UST slips the peg, a huge amount of UST leaves 20 wallets. 7 of them were populated with the most amount of UST like within 2 months. They had never existed before, and all of a sudden they exist 2 months prior, and they're the ones who are dumping first. Yeah, come on. So you can't determine intent from blockchain. So even as I sit here, do I know that happened for sure? Do I understand the intent of that? No. But it all happened very quickly within the same period of time, and all of it happened after they pulled that liquidity from Curve. So, we find ourselves in a moment where Terraform Labs has to pull that Bitcoin and use it to try to restore the peg. So what they do, because they don't have the mechanism built into the blockchain platform yet, they had to send it to what's called an OTC desk or an over-the-counter desk. They had to send it to an entity that would then sell it for UST to restore the peg. But it was too late. We were already just bleeding by then, and everyone was so scared because of the amount, right? You have to think about, you're backing $18 billion of market cap with $3 billion. So between the floor and the ceiling, there's a lot of air. Yeah. And the cascading effect of that, it was just too much momentum to overcome. And we got attacked. And like I said to people watching us, like Crypto Corner, that night, we got attacked. They were successful. They found a vulnerability. They exploited it. They won. We lost. That's kind of the game sometimes. It sucks. It blows. I'm not undermining any of that. It's just how the game can be played sometimes when there's a critical vulnerability in your platform.
And it's also how new things get created to prevent things like that from happening. So it sucks that you're the trailblazer that got bit by the rattlesnake.
Yes.
But now there's rattlesnake, cures or whatever. Like they figured out how to suck the poison out.
Like I tell people all the time in Crypto Corner, I'm like, dude, we were the astronauts who got to go to the moon. But then what happens when you're on the moon? You want to go home. I mean, what do you do? What can you do on the moon? You can fucking look around and go, I'm on the moon.
There's no oxygen.
You maybe slap your friend high five, but it's like you're underwater, so it's like kind of weird. And you're like, hey, that's kind of fun. Maybe you golf like a couple of swings, and you're like, yeah, I kind of want to go home.
I would jump a little bit because it would seem fun.
I would want to jump.
Yeah.
But then, once you're on the moon, you kind of just want to go home and have everyone go like, man, you went to the fucking moon. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Have your wife like suck your dick. Be like, you went to the fucking moon. I'm sucking I'm sucking a moon man's dick. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
I just want to suck a dick of someone that's going to the moon. But
moon man's cock.
I want some moon man cock, but having a
opportunity. Cock, it's back to normal. It sucks.
Whatever.
But that's the thing, right? When you get to the moon, you kind of want to go home. And that's kind of what people in crypto don't really talk about, because we went to the moon. 2,000% is fucking insane. Mm-hmm. But once you're there, you kind of just want to go home. and what
does that mean in crypto terms, going home then? What's that mean?
De-risking.
Yeah.
Making sure that when you go home, there's sick stuff to look at because you made it, or at least even if there's not sick stuff to look at,
like you made your life
comfortable enough so that you can kind of do that thing, which I like to do, where you just sort of like relax after you did the work. Mm-hmm. Like you just get to take that moment and relax after you did the work.
Yeah.
So look, I didn't get to de-risk as much as I wanted to, but I got to de-risk, thank God.
Yeah, thank God you did.
And because I did that, and ultimately that's what it's all about for me. Like turning a small amount of money into a big amount of money is not about the big amount of money. It's about turning that into bigger positions of cryptos that I believe in so that I have stronger position for the next run, because it's all about the next run. It's all about the next move.
Which is great, but you also learn to take some profits off the top.
Pay myself more
to pay yourself on the way.
Yes, pay myself
because
more
the positions are great, but it's not everything. Like, you just take a little bit.
Exactly.
So that you can go.
Hey, yes. But and that's the other thing too, is like you work so hard to find the right move. Mm-hmm. You made the right move. You didn't pay yourself the whole time.
It's like what I say when I'm doing really well in poker and I like triple my stack, and then I'm like, I should buy like a sandwich or something. But I don't. Right. Instead I go punt off my freaking stack, and then I'm pissed, and then it fuels me for the next thing. But then I'm just like,
it's the best.
Even if I go home, I'm like, I could have had that. Like I could have just like gone home with like more if I didn't love the game so much. I know how that feels, but that's the thing, right? And so the saddest thing about all this is all the people who got so wrecked that they didn't see a way out. They saw no light. They saw just darkness. Like my heart goes out to all those people, because like you heard about that, I'm sure. Like there was some people who bought Luna and they took their own lives. Oh, yeah. Like it's just crazy to think about. I don't like thinking about that. That's so sad.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
And like, for that, like all I can do is think about, like for me, for anybody who ever invested in Luna, all I can ever think about is there's always another move. There's always another move. And also, again, going back to don't put anything in there that you're not that you need to survive with. Never put in more than you're willing to lose, because you really can lose in this game. You can. And you will. If you're not paying attention, you will.
There's this variance is stuff that you can't control.
Absolutely. But the movement is not dead.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the idea, the underlying idea behind crypto is not dead. And it can't shake me. Look, losing what I lost in this, it can't shake me, because honestly, I'm still up on where I started the last run. And then and then the last run, I'm still up on where I started that last run. So it's like that to me is the progress that I can take into this next run.
Well, there were a couple, so people messaged me like, some were a lot of them are really, giving condolences, like, I'm sorry, I hope you guys didn't get hurt too much, blah, blah, blah. Nice. And then some of them are just like, talking shit. They're like, y'all are broke now. I'm like, okay. And some are like, Steve doesn't know what he's doing or whatever. And I'm like, it's really funny how some people could think that something is super, like, that you're really bad at what you're doing because you made a 300% ROI as opposed to a 3,000%
Not that
ROI.
good.
Because it used to be 3,000% and now it's only 300%.
I agree with them. Could have been better.
I think that's very silly. I also explained to just like a couple, because on my vlog channel, youtube.com/Nikki, it's such a small community that I usually reply to comments like in the first hour that a video goes up. Yeah. And, I explained to some person, I was like, I don't feel broke. Just, losing $1 million on paper is like, wow, that's a lot of money on paper that you lost. But it doesn't change our daily lives.
Nothing about
because
our lives.
What you should be doing, and what we've said in previous financial episodes, is you have your investment accounts separate from your day-to-day living expenses. It should never be cutting into like your meal at dinner. I think that, we say have an emergency fund. Sometimes people are in lots of debt, and so like you try to get out of debt first, and then build your emergency fund, and then do the investing. Yes. So you always have these layers before you're like.
Well, we never. People think when we bought our house with crypto, like they don't know.
I know. That's another thing. Like when things are going really well in crypto, people attribute anything I'm buying to like, Steve did so well in crypto that you got to buy a house. Like, no. Actually, we explained in another episode how real estate actually goes up, and then you can sell your house at a point and have made a lot in equity that can then buy you another house. And that's exactly what happened with our house. Was that the real estate market has exploded, and guess who does the real estate invest in research?
Hell yeah. It's a fact.
Yeah.
I didn't even set foot in this house until the day we were putting pen to paper because I was too busy with crypto stuff.
Yeah, I was obsessed with studying the real estate market, like how Steve is with crypto. I just wanted a house so bad, but I wanted to buy at the right time, and people at the time were like, wait till the bubble bursts, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to burst here in LA. So then...
I trusted you and I trust Ray, and I was like, this is
I just
easy.
need to find the right deal. And the right deal was on a neighborhood that was a burgeoning neighbor. What do they call it? Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah. And that's the same thing with crypto. When you talk about timing, it's like finding the right coin, but at the right time, like when it's about to go up.
Yes.
And so I did that and found a place in our budget. And I only, put 15% down at the time. And the ROI on the equity put into just the house that we live in, not even like real estate investments, like not rental properties or anything, but just the house that we live in, the equity has gone up like 300 or something.
That's not that good.
300%?
300% is not that good.
300%?
Remember?
Yeah.
It's not that good. Could have had more.
So then I just used it for this house. Yeah. And so that's how we got it.
And by the way, the fight continues. Like the idea that I am done because of this setback, which really is just like, thank God I cashed out. Like I said, at least I took, I de-risked, or I'd actually definitely be crestfallen compared to where I'm at right now, which is why like during Crypto Corner, while all this shit's going down, I'm telling people like, hey, we will live to fight another day, dude. This is not done. Nobody saw me break at all or anything. I mean, that's just not how I am. No. Like none of this stuff is like I was definitely melancholy while it was going down, like around the house and stuff. I'm like, man, this is fucking wild and shit. But I wasn't ever like, oh, I'm done. This is over. Like, oh, we'll never be back or anything. No. If anything, I'm like, there's only the next mission. We're moving on to the next. There's always the next move, and for me, I just still love the space. So I'm already accumulating the next of the gems that I believe will take me to the next level. Yeah. I mean, and I've been doing that since last summer. So it's, even while I was buying Luna, I was de-risking into other positions that I thought would do really well later. So
is it an extremely volatile market that can impact your emotions? Absolutely. And that is also why I think that that's so important that you talk about the what'd you call it? The tripod?
Yes.
Where like if you know yourself.
Yes.
And you will not be able to emotionally handle such drastic swings that could possibly happen. Maybe they don't happen, but they could possibly happen. Yeah. You should just buy Bitcoin.
Or buy the tripod. Buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB.
The tripod. Yeah, the tripod.
Yeah.
And that.
But yeah, Bitcoin, just buying Bitcoin is fine too. Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
But like buy it's like the equivalent of buying an index, of buying into an index
absolutely.
fund.
Absolutely. it's less touch and go. It's like you're just there because you're putting your money and parking it somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the touch and go part, you have to be ready for variance, and you have to be ready for, you have to be up on the news. You have to be paying attention to what's going on in the space. Like, dude, look at what's happening with Solana right now. Like, Solana keeps on having network downtime. I'm not even really knocking them. It's just like, that's a big problem for Faith. So like now people who are using Solana are like, cool, what is it, a 9 to 5 blockchain? Like, what's going on with that? Like, you're gonna fucking take the blockchain down. Like is the blockchain up during weekends? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that creates faith issues. And I'm not trying to take the easy shot. I'm just trying to say like this is, you really do have to pay more attention if you're going to be into riskier assets.
Yeah,
it just is.
And that's how it is with every market.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, I think that's more of a mind. You have to prime your mindset to even get into that sort of space. And for that, I think you should read the book Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, or Rich Dad Poor Dad by him. He's just, those books are really good for,
I love Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Like understanding what type of mindset you have that you may not even know that you've been conditioned to have, and how you have to change it in order to think more like an investor would.
Absolutely.
And I think those are just really good books for that. Just put that out there. But yeah, we're at our time. Thank you for touching base with us on that, because I know a lot of people were asking, a lot of people
I've been wanting to talk about it.
I know, like a lot of people were like, oh, he's avoiding it. No, he wasn't avoiding it. We stockpiled these episodes.
We had a lot of variants.
Yeah.
Well, the one time that I thought we were going to talk about it, Jess came over, and then we
were talking about mental
didn't want
health.
to leave her downstairs, and then we were talking about mental health, which was great.
Yeah, and it was also Mental Health Awareness Month. Like I wanted to talk about mental health too, and so we touched on it a little bit, but yeah, I think people were really interested in hearing all of your thoughts on it. And if you want way more in-depth thoughts, we record all of the Crypto Corner episodes are they're live stream, but then if you're part of the Patreon, you can go back and review them and stuff. So patreon.com/sticky, STIKKI. You can see everything, how it went down, what people are working on now. And that community is really supportive too.
They're the best,
They're really awesome.
They're the best.
If you have any questions or want to talk shop with anybody, and like maybe you don't have anyone in your personal life to talk to, like definitely come over, check it out. And it's that, again, it's like $5 a month. Like it's not it's for the smallest tier. Like we're not even trying to.
I just love people learning about the space. Yeah. And honestly, like I said, the corners are not discouraged. The corners, if anything, there's only the next mission. And it's really just about, dude, I didn't learn as much until I got wrecked the first time. And then, it's pretty funny. I got wrecked again, but I de-risked enough where it's not, it's exponential increases.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I just want to call it out, right? It's like exponential increases that have made it so I have more firepower. So like during this bear market, I'm going to start even harder than I started last time. So like if you thought I was obnoxious before, it's going to get fucking crazy this next time because I'm doing it again already.
You double, triple, dog down on
That's
everything.
That's what I do, motherfucker.
It is what you do.
Look, I'm not to brag too hard. I was in the best one in 2017. Mm-hmm. I was in the best one this run. Mm-hmm. Watch me, motherfucker, watch me.
And I said we are out of time. Okay. But come back and double down again next time.
I'll be back.
We will be back here next week. Yep. Thank you for watching. Please check out our sponsors, rate us on iTunes, do all that fun stuff that helps us out a lot. And we appreciate you all, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.